Hello and welcome to Art Bytes, short encounters with the collection at the Marianna Kistler Beach Museum of Art. My name is Emma Kellogg. I'm a gallery teacher here at the museum, and today I will be discussing Wendell Castle and his work in our collection, which welcomes guests near the entrance of the museum. His sculpture titled Midsummer from 2000, which is a bronze sculpture of a chair that sits atop a metal rug. If not for the rug, this throne-like chair appears that it might topple over backwards if you sat on it and leaned back. But because it is fixed to the rug, it stays sturdy in place. This idea of balance is prevalent in the work of Wendell Castle, as he often creates subtle illusions of defying balance, like he does with this chair and with this sculpture titled Chair Standing on Its Head from 2001. Wendell Castle was born in 1932 and was a working artist his entire adult life, working in his studio 6 days a week. Castle grew up in Kansas and was greatly affected by the Dust Bowl and the Great Depression. He was dyslexic, and growing up with a learning disability made him see the world differently. There was no word for dyslexia during his time, and so no help was provided to him in school. He said that he was seen as a troublemaker and unintelligent. He stated, "The only thing I was good at was daydreaming, and that was not valued." Later in his life, he began to embrace the way that his brain worked and found his niche in the world in his art practice, and he is now known as the father of the furniture art movement. In an interview at the Furniture Society conference in Philadelphia, he stated that being dyslexic taught him to think outside of the box. Castle had a theory that having unique ways of thinking motivates artists to experiment with their work. Although his daydreaming was not valued as a child, daydreaming became an important part of his artistic practice as an adult. He stated, "I often draw things I do not understand, but secure in the knowledge that they may at some point become clear and meaningful." Castle stated that he believed drawing is critical thinking. He talks about how when we first look at something, we see very little of it. And as we look longer and ponder the object as we draw it, more is revealed. Through the act of drawing, we expand our perspective of the world around us. So, his process of drawing out his ideas for his furniture and sculptures was very imaginative. It's like the act of searching for meaning. It's not always straightforward, and he might have meandered from one concept to another in the search for meaning. One example of how meaning has fluctuated and changed in his work is his molar chairs. In his drawings of the chairs, he thought, "Oh, that kind of looks like a molar." And then he made another design that became the iconic molar chair, which more directly represents a molar. Castle stated that this chair design was purchased for seating in dentist's office, which makes sense. In these images of Castle's molar chairs, you can see Castle's love of color. He is quoted saying, "I didn't want to be known as a woodworking person, and I missed color. I realized everything I was making was brown, and brown is probably my least favorite color." He didn't want to be pigeonholed by the materials he was using to make his pieces, so he experimented a lot with his materials and with color. He started making more daring choices with color in his furniture starting around 1968. These Mueller chairs from 1968 and into the 1970s are part of his move toward using more color in his work. Our works in the collection by Castle also use more color than the plain wood pieces, although a bit more subtly than the brightly colored Mueller chairs. In the chair out front of the museum titled Midsummer, we see a lovely monochromatic turquoise color palette in the patina on the bronze, with a lighter turquoise that fills the shapes of his imagery, surrounded by darker colors. In his other piece in our collection titled Chair on Painted Rug, the colors are similar with the light and the dark turquoise, but there's also a burst of deep red that we see in the grooved lines of Castle's imagery, as well as a shining silver vessel which rests atop the chair and creates a point of emphasis with its brightness. Now let's talk about patinas. Since Castle used patinas on the bronze in these chair in our collection, A patina is a coating of chemical compounds on the metal surface that changes the color of the metal. It's usually formed during exposure to the elements, and it's the reason that you see a lot of turquoise or green on metal sculptures, such as the Statue of Liberty, which is made of copper. Different chemical reactions will create different hues, like turquoise or browns, yellows, blues, and black. It is also possible for artists to create these types of effects in the studio rather than just leaving them to weather outside. The turquoise patina that Castle created on his chairs was deliberately added, probably by exposing the bronze to chlorides. Castle used the variation of colors in the patinas to create imagery on the surface of the chairs. These works have references to nature, and in their muted color palettes, like a shadowy forest, and the imagery reflects the shape of leaves on trees and the petals on flowers. This theme of nature is present in the work of Castle throughout his career. I will leave you with one last image of Castle's studio gallery, with its Black Widow chairs made by Castle, alongside artworks made by his wife, Nancy Jers, such as the sculptures hanging beside the fireplace. If you had a piece of Wendell Castle's furniture, how would you like to display it in your home? Thank you for taking the time to join me for Art Bytes.